I'm just gonna say it. I absolutely hate every single TED talk that has to do with languages. Sue me. TED Talk, TED Talk. Like, I don't know. TED Talk already is something that I very, very occasionally watch. And I'll be honest with you, even when it comes to like physics or science and subjects that I think work better when it comes to TED Talk, even then, like, there are only a handful that I remember being something that I watched. And I was like, wow, man, I feel like I learned a lot today. But when it comes to the language space and TED Talk, it's a complete and utter waste of time. Like, it really is. It really is. For instance, when we look at the origins and evolution of language, I mean, sure, this is maybe the only exception that I could see. You know, if someone has never actually looked into the history of languages and their evolution, and then you have someone who is a professional, he's a pro, he knows what he's doing, he's actually really good, and he's a great communicator. Maybe it could work as a sort of seminal project, right? So you do it, and then people see it, and they get interested, and perhaps they start studying linguistics. I have nothing against these. But the ones about the secrets, oh, they piss me off like you have no idea. So, like, for instance, I actually made a reaction video to this one. 11 million views, you muppet. So I made a reaction video to this one. 10 minutes and 46 seconds. And of course, TED Talk, by the way, copy claims everything, everything. And then when you do the, hey, mate, I'm going to dispute this because it's fair use in the United States. We understand freedom here, and you can't do that. You can't take it away from me because my work is highly transformative. It's protected. No, they double down on it. So you waste 30 days plus another 10 days. Then you need to threaten for legal action, and then they have to sue you and take you to court. Otherwise, they're forced to drop it, which then the entire process takes all the way up to 40 damn days. And they do it every single time. So let's just put it this way. I'm not a big fan, okay? Not a big fan. It's either them and the other ones, like the one that does Surrounded. These are the worst when it comes to copyright claims. That being the case, this kind of stuff, it's really a matter of look at me, I found the secret, I'm different than others, I know better, I am special, I figured this out, no one else knows it, you never thought of this even though it's an obvious thing, it's an afterthought that you came into after like a year of studying sometimes, maybe not the case with this lady, but in general, a lot of the times, these are secrets, tips, advice that are presented in a way as if you could have never come to that idea or the concept of, well, you got to speak to people more, or maybe if you watch a movie in the language and then you mimic by pausing it. Like, I get it that the tips are good to have, okay? I myself, as you know, have been working on a book that has one of its chapters entirely dedicated to exercises that can help you bring some practice, something applicable to your language journey. I'll put a link if you want to check out the crowdfunding that I started when it comes to that. But enough with the self-plug, I suppose. The reason why this annoys me is because oftentimes this reveals a major problem or a major characteristics of language learners, me included. That is, we all suffer from main character syndrome. Tell me I'm wrong. Literally, tell me I'm wrong. Every time you begin, and I've seen this so much, particularly at university when I was majoring in foreign language acquisition, and I noticed that every single one of us was competing with the others, and these were massive classes, by the way. I mean, then again, my Japanese class had about 60, 70 students, but the Mandarin Chinese class, we were like 300. It was an absolute mess. People were sitting on the floor. Regardless of that, you could have had 1,000 in there. Every single student, first year student, was in his mind thinking, the way I pronounce is superior. I'm better than everyone else. I know I'm going to be different. I'm going to say something and the way I do it is different than the way you do it. I know something that you don't. I know how to do this. I don't know what it is, but it happens a lot in language communities. Of course, some people more than others. But in general, I think language learners eventually, once they do reach real fluency, I think in my experience, they start dropping it and they finally mature away from this, I'm so special, I'm better, I know how to do it. What do you mean they did better than me? That's impossible. But oftentimes we have that mentality. It's like a massively highly competitive scenario where the ego of the people, particularly the weirder the languages are, the bigger the ego is. So you can imagine that being someone who was into the Eastern Asian department of languages at university, yeah, we were all like that. On one way, you could use it. You can use it as a tool because this fixation that you have to be the best is, I guess, helps you push forward and study. So, I mean, I suppose fine. But then again, you don't really need it, do you? And at the end of the day, when you see these kind of TED Talks that literally tell you things that are so damn obvious, it's a reflection of that. I am convinced it's a reflection of that. Oh, I remember this one. That's another one that I responded to. Learning a language, speak it like you're playing a video game, Mariana Pascal. I don't have anything against giving suggestions to people, because maybe it does happen that in your experience, if you have had a massive experience in the language field, and I'm going to hammer this point in a second, because a lot of the people that give you advice don't speak a freaking language other than their own, or maybe they speak it very basically. I'll get back to this. I'll round back to that. But in general, I'm saying maybe someone with experience, years of experience, they have failed and many times, and then they sort of stood back up, right? And noticed, okay, this doesn't work, this doesn't. So of course, yeah, they want to share that experience with you, and maybe you haven't had that much of experience. All of that is fantastic. But in a situation like this one, I do not believe this lady, for what I remember watching this, actually speaks the language in question. So personally, advice from people who are not exceptional at language learning is useless. In fact, it's the same thing, and I mean it. Clip this. This is the hill I'm going to die on. Listening to the advice about language learning from people who didn't reach fluency in another language is the same as watching a person teaching you all about weightlifting and how to build the perfect body while they didn't do it themselves. It's all theory. They haven't got a clue. And when they lift the shirt, it's what? They have nothing. They have no muscle. They're not fit. Perhaps they're fat. I'm sorry, I don't believe you. If you haven't reached it yourself and you haven't gone through the obstacles and trials and error of someone who has actually overcome the problem, because it is a problem, isn't it? It's a problem that needs a solution, and it requires to be solved. And only those who solve it and reach fluency, it needs to be fluency though. Not like a little bit of a lower intermediate kind of conversation, a little bit, but pronunciation is horrible. They suck. It's difficult to understand. They barely know how to use grammar correctly. Sorry, no. Get through the grinding. But that's in fact some of the problem here. And it connects to this idea of wanting the glory without the grinding. You need to put in the work. It takes years to reach exceptional levels, but people always want to feel they are exceptional, and so they will produce these videos that piss me off, that are all about how I managed to learn a language in 3 weeks, how you can buy my book and I'll teach you how to reach fluency in a month. I'm just telling you, if you do buy my book, the one that I'm producing, it will not magically make you fluent in 3 weeks, okay? It's not going to be anywhere in the PR, because that would be a lie. Also, it took me a few years, given in a year of highly specialized study, you can reach high conversation level. It's not impossible. And depending on the language, it could be an easier task or it could be a harder task. In general, 2 years, you could be fluent. Once again, that number, however, depends and varies on what language you have picked and your own personal experience when it comes to language learning. So, giving a number to everyone is misguided, because that number and the amount of time or time span expectation when it comes to reaching reasonable results, which is always either high conversational or fluent, no one really just wants to learn how to read a language. People want to speak. People want to speak, understand, have a conversation. Unless you want to become a professional translator, then I guess it's a different scenario, like in written form, I mean. But in general, that's what we want. And once again, if you haven't reached a high level, you shouldn't become the guru of the language space. But people want that, and they do not want to put in the work, which takes years if you want to be exceptional. So good, in fact, that you are now teaching everyone. You are spreading the message. You're doing the TED Talks. You're making books. You are teaching YouTube courses and paid wall classes. Well, you can't do that if you only have like a year in a language. And it's pointless to pretend that you speak 60 because you know how to say hello in 60 languages. That's not exceptional. Anyone can do that. Memorizing set phrases just to pretend that you know Swedish, whereby the split second that you were to face a native speaker in the language, you wouldn't understand anything, and you would have to pretend and say, yes, even though there was no yes or no question. I mean, come on. It's It's embarrassing. But I do believe that this is a problem with social media. It is a problem also with low attention span. TikTok and all these platforms that, and in general, online, the constant, chronically online generation has now got used to having everything immediately, quickly, without waiting. They don't want to wait for anything. And so the idea that you need to put in the work first and do the sacrifice, make sacrifices, and take the time, grind, and then you will become exceptional. You will, if you put in the work. But unfortunately, this is not what society teaches us now, which is part of this rant, really, the core of this rant. The jingling of keys, the keeping your attention at all costs, the giving you everything whenever you want it. And that's what these devices do. They train your mind into, I want it now. Why is it taking more than 3 seconds to load? 3 seconds to load. I mean, I remember when I was 13, it was all about delayed gratification, really. Playing with the Amiga 500. I mean, if you like this kind of stuff, I have a retro gaming dedicated channel, Metatron's Protectorate. I'll put a link in the description. But I mean, I remember putting in the disc, and then you had to wait forever, and then all the disc swapping, and we had to wait before you get what you want, and we all patiently waited. Because at the end of the day, this is what we were taught. We were taught that sometimes you've got to wait, but if you wait and you suffer through it, yeah, then you get the reward. But this is not how the minds of the kids that you leave in front of the iPad so that the iPad can raise them while you are too busy or you just don't want to deal with it. Well, that's what they're teaching them. And this reflects in the language space. This is more of a deeper discussion, really. And of course, there is PR involved. There is views. And of course, exceptionalism and sensationalism is what sells on the online space. And we can see that because millions and millions of views. But I just wish that people that share their passion for languages would do just that. You don't need to be the best in the world. You don't need to be, oh, look at me, I'm better than others. You can just show us your journey, your passion, and your interest, and that enough, at least for me, would be sufficient to click, subscribe, follow your journey, and then if you do excel, you will get the praise, right? That's in fact one of the most beautiful aspects of language learning, is that differently from freaking mathematics, where you can be exceptional, no one is ever going to be like, oh man, that equation you solved, congratulations, I'm shocked. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But when it comes to the language space, every time you use something correctly, you pronounce something really well, or you have a successful communicative scenario, right? Experience with a native, people will constantly praise you. So already you are in a subject that will give you a lot of praises. I think we can drop this idea of, yes, but me, I am the best, and everyone has to not be as good as me, and because it just doesn't work. And just please stop following these stupid TED Talks because they annoy me. Anyways, that was the rant for today. I hope you appreciated it. And if you disagree, agree, let me know in the comments. It's all engagements. Thank you very much. See you.